This is the Power Platform Podcast. Join Rex de Koning, Ana Inés Urrutia de Sousa, and Paddy Byrne as they talk to the Microsoft community about their stories.
Finally, the Power Platform Podcast is back online. I would like to see where we are, but we're all over the place today, aren't we? So I am Paddy Byrne. I'm from Wishaw, just outside Glasgow. I'll hand you over to my co-host Rex.
Hi.
Have his introduction.
Yeah, I'm Rex de Koning. I'm from the Netherlands. So we try to do a global show this time. And then of course we have our two guests. Can you introduce yourself shortly? We start with Mark.
Nobody needs to know who I am. The accent probably gives it away, and I will not speak in any Norwegian at all today. It's all
disappointing.
All pure Scottish. Nei, ikke norsk. I dag.
Yeah, my name is Thomas. So I am based out of Oslo and a CRM consultant there.
Awesome. So we've got two fantastic guests here, Mark Christie and Thomas Sandsor. So we're going to start the podcast. We're going to follow a similar format for every episode. This is the first of many that we're recording. We'll start off with an icebreaker first, just to let the guests feel at ease, as if they aren't already. So, Mark, you're the one to begin with. Me and you share a love for wrestling, don't we? Although we're in different factions, I would probably say.
I was wondering where that question was going, but okay, yes.
Of course it was. Yeah. So it's going to be because I listened to our podcast that we did in preparation for this, a wrestling podcast, and I laughed my face off. So it's going to be a wrestling-related question.
Okay.
If you were a wrestler, a pro wrestler, or superstar, what would your name be? What would your entrance music be? And what would your finisher be? And why?
Jesus. Okay, so
Told you they were good.
Song would be AFI 2112 Prelude.
Good choice.
No, probably nobody will know that one. I would just go with my own name because I'm that original.
Would you not do the WWE thing and just make it Mark? Because they do only like one names, do they? But you're not.
Well, no. They just all they do now is they flip it round. So I would be like Chris Marksty or something like that.
Something like Mark before Blue Man or something.
Christy Mack, would that one work?
Christy Mack's a good one. Christy Mack to AFI.
Mm-hmm. So yeah,
and the finisher.
Don't Google Christy Mack. She probably is the finisher in that instance. Isn't she? Sorry, this is a PG podcast. DDT.
Yes, classic.
Yep.
Beautiful. So Thomas, that's
are you going to ask me wrestling questions? I do not have any references to wrestling.
No wrestling questions. No wrestling questions. So I heard a rumor that there's a doppelganger of you going around conferences within the community, right?
Pretending to be a very clever developer, I hear also. I
don't know anything about it. I just heard a rumor, right? So my question for you is, if you could be a doppelganger of anyone else for one day, who would it be and what mischief would you get up to?
Actually, that would be a lot of fun. Well, I mean, being kind of nerdy about it, we all know kind of what my doppelganger would be. So Benedict, yeah. We did talk about having a session where if we got the same haircuts and wore the same exact clothes, if we had some time on the stage, he would start off. He would go out on the right side, and I would just pop in on the left side. You know, would people notice instantly, or would it take them a few minutes before they caught on? So if I would want to do some mischief, I definitely want to be Benedict and talk about how unmanaged solutions are really the way to go. And that ALM is best done without power or without pipelines. Really, it's best done manually when you export.
I would go to that session.
So realistically, then you want to be with yourself, just with a little bit of personality, then.
Yeah, exactly. Be myself, but just look a little bit younger visually, and he's a great looking guy. So I mean, I always think it's fun when people compare me to him, and plus he's really, really clever. So yeah, I mean, I just think it's cool. But genuinely, I mean, we make fun of it, but genuinely at the MVP Summit, 2 people came over to me on the second day. I'm not going to say who this was. You might listen to the podcast. On the second day, he asked me a few questions, and then I realized, you really think I am Benedict? Because he was asking me to come to a very technical session about how we can combine Azure and Fabric somehow. And I was like, I really don't know what you're talking about, man. And I said, wait a minute. But you're here. This is your email address. It's like, dude, this is Benedict. I'm Thomas. I'm not this guy. He was so embarrassed.
It's awesome. It's so funny. Okay, Rex, have you got any questions for Mark and Thomas?
Well, they basically had the easy questions now, so let's make it a bit more difficult. Let's start with Thomas this time. Can you explain a little bit about your day-to-day role? What are you doing during the day?
Yeah, so it's been a bit of a difference in the last few years, because I started. My job is I work at a company called Point Taken, is to build the CRM departments. It started out with only 3 people in 2017, and but now we've grown to be about 25. So we're becoming bigger. So we do Power Platform and Dynamics, and the more people we get, the less hands-on I am. But I just kind of try to still be. I still need to get my fingers dirty because I kind of like configuring. Yeah.
How are you finding that, Thomas, being less hands-on? Because I really
hard
struggled with that.
Very
my
hard
progression. You seem to do a lot more documentation, not playing with the new toys as much. Delegation's a skill as well, isn't it?
I learn every day. I am not the best at it. Absolutely not. I mean, I'm learning every single day. It's just, it's hard, and not to sort of do it myself, because I know what I want to do. But then, as you say, you got to delegate and you got to trust people. So, but luckily I have a lot of great people that do great jobs. So, I mean, yeah, I'm very lucky that way. But it's kind of every now and then you kind of wish you were a part of the project because they're doing cool things. Yeah. So yeah, that's more and more my day-to-day stuff, I guess. More HR than configuration. So yeah.
Well, at least you can be part of the project just by overseeing them. So you don't have to let go at all.
No, I haven't let everything go. I mean, I'm too nerdy to let everything go, but it is different though. That's all. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And Mark, most of the people probably have a slight idea of who you are. Can you tell a little about your daily job?
So, what job, what hat, what day? It genuinely depends on where I am, what I'm doing. Am I pre-sales? Am I firefighting? Am I chasing invoices? Am I sending nasty, sarcastic emails to people asking them to pay bills? Am I selling Scottish Summit sponsorship? Am I trying to get football teams to buy things? Yeah, I do a little bit of everything and a whole lot of nothing. I think is probably the best way of describing what I do.
So you're a master of the delegation, Mark. You must be by now, because I mean you've run this event for the Scottish Summit event.
So why give somebody a task when you can do it yourself in 3 minutes? And this just isn't right. So how long do we have? We're going on rant number 1. So part of my bipolar, and me and Thomas have actually done a decent, an hour and a half podcast or video cast, YouTube, whatever it is, on mental health and talking about this. But I genuinely, right, if I figure out there's a task that needs done, I might have 100 volunteers who would be willing to do it. But it's a task that's going to take me 10 minutes. By the time I've asked volunteers and somebody replies, it's 15 minutes. By the time I tell them what I want, it's 25 minutes. By the time I tell them again what I want, it's like 45 minutes. And by that time, I could have done it 3 times. So I do not delegate. I'm also slightly a perfectionist. So regardless of how well you've done the task that I've given you and done it 100% to spec and gone over and above and beyond, I'll still want to do something different. So yeah, delegation probably isn't my strong point in the slightest. as you can see by all the graphics that you've got around here that you wanted to create. Yeah.
Is this why you're the first guest on the podcast? Because like, you know what? I'll do it. I'll go on it.
Yeah. If he's only going to do it, I will. Boom.
Oh, that's you've beeped. You've beeped.
I mean,
You did so well.
That was bang on 10 minutes as well. So we can say it was exactly 10 minutes until the first F-bomb.
Oh, that's cool. So very exciting lives for you guys. So to the event, let's talk about Scottish Summit Past. We want to hear some tales from Scottish Summit Past. So Thomas, I'm going to go over to you. Give me something that what stands out. Because I've met you. I think the first time I met you was at Scottish Summit D365 Saturday 2019, possibly, or something like that.
Was you? You weren't at that one, were you? You were at 20.
I was at 19.
No, Thomas wasn't. Thomas wasn't popular at that point.
No, I wasn't. I never really have been popular, so it's like I've been more of a mercy pick, just to sort of that's okay.
I mean, what your biggest memory of Scottish Summit 2020? Jael Malin Fluker Vordag? Maybe.
Well, I was going to say my highlight was meeting Thomas Sandsor.
Oh,
but that was at 2019, not 2020, and he wasn't there, so it must have been better.
To put it that way, whenever we met each other, you would have been a lot more known because I've seen every video you've probably done on YouTube with all your finger gestures on your way, the intros or outros kind of thing. So I know, yeah, exactly. I know those things. But no, it's like if we're talking about past, I mean, Scottish Summit was actually the first time I really had a speaking engagement. So it was, I was on my way to become an MVP. I was not an MVP at the moment. Malin told me that I should submit something that was a call for a paper. I had no idea what that was. I've never sort of really heard of these things. So she pushed me.
Oh no, we've lost Thomas.
She pushed him off the call. That's a great segue. So this is where you've got.
That's a warning to us all. We're not allowed to say the name Malin.
Yeah. I wish we were alive.
So I will give you my first experience meeting Thomas. In fact, it wasn't memorable. I can't actually remember. So no, actually, the first time I met Thomas there was a group of about 8 or 9 of them in a pub, and it was the Norwegians, the Swedish people, and all of those ones. I think George Dubinsky was in there as well, and kind of walked in, said hello to everyone, and thought, this is a group of people that I don't understand the word they're saying. I'm going to pay the bill and walk out. And that was, I think, the first time I met Thomas.
Could be.
But I was talking about when you were all in the.
I heard. I was just put into backstage for some reason. I wasn't out of the cast. I was just not in the cast. So I kind of heard. I heard you talking behind my back, Mark. It's okay.
I mean, I'll tell you exactly the same.
I'm just joking. No, but I mean, it was just saying that it was the first time I ever spoke. So it was really scary. To be honest, I thought it was really scary. It's the first time I met lots of MVPs that I've been following for blogs and video or like on YouTube and stuff like that. I was sitting in the green room that Mark had under the stairs. It was like where there was lots of candy there. You don't remember that? You had you call it we don't call it a green room, but whatever you call those things. Yeah. Anyway, everyone was sitting there, and everyone was, like MVPs. Kind of, you didn't dare to say much because they were all kind of like MVP famous in a way.
Throwing candy and coffee down there.
Yep. And just seeing how things works is like, oh, by the way, we had a cancellation on session. Can anyone do a session with this? It's like in 10 minutes, and like, yeah, sure. Chris Huntingford was there. Like, no problem. I'll do it. I put together like a slide deck of something within like 10 minutes. And it's like, I even went to that session. It was really awesome. But I just kind of got to see how well some of those people work with just being in a presenting scenario. Because for me, I had a lot of preparation just for the 45, 50 minutes there. And,
it's interesting that when you're in that sort of environment, you do sort of absorb the talent. I think even just standing within some of that company, you do get a feel for what they do, and it helps you progress as well. I think that's one of the beautiful things about Scottish Summit is that you're amongst so much talent and experienced people within the community that you can just be in there and just absorb.
It was
skills.
it was quite amazing. Absolutely, I really enjoyed it. So I was like, just happy that I got chosen. There might have been a bit of assistance from Mark there, but yeah.
No, I had no idea who you were at that time, so it was nothing to do with me.
I was the one that was traveling with Malin, so that was her +1 traveling.
No, not at that point. It wouldn't have made a difference. Has anyone ever watched Heroes, the TV show?
No, I've heard of it.
Right, so in Heroes, basically, Siler goes around killing everyone.
Oh, that show, yeah.
But every time he kills somebody, he absorbs those powers. Could we get away with that in the community?
For a while, then there's no community left, I think. But
that would be an interesting question. You could have that for your next question, Patty. Like, who, if you were to kill someone and absorb their power, which ones would you kill to become the ultimate speaker?
That's getting written down right now.
Yeah.
That's getting written down right now.
Could we also make another rule for any other podcast? If you have a guest on and they mention their company name, we get to charge them £100. Thomas has mentioned point taken twice so far.
Only one time.
Well, I think it's important for the guest to mention their company name. But maybe, I don't know. Maybe if it's their company.
See, what the problem you've got with having me on as one of the first guests is you could have so much of a schedule, whatever you want to do. I am just going to throw spanners in the works at every single stage.
But that's what we like. That's the point. That's the beauty of the Scottish Summit and the podcast. That, you know, we were talking earlier about just letting anybody come in. I mean, we want that live environment. What's going to happen next? But anyway, what's going to happen next is I'm going to ask Mark Christie. I was going to call you someone else there.
Well, hello, Paddy.
I mean, first thing, have you ever been to Scottish Summit, Mark? So Tales of Scottish Summit Past, I'm sure you've got a few. I mean, top three, because you can do your highlight one, which I'm sure that I'm guessing I'm answering for. You know, your highlight is probably the first one where it was massive and you showed everyone what Scottish Summit could do, and that it was a community Scotland. But tell me your top three.
So, do you want the honest truth?
Yeah.
Honest truth is, on the day, I have no idea what's going on. There's no highlights, there's no lowlights. It's just making sure everything works. You take a couple of days to decompress and you're on to the next one. I genuinely don't have highlights from it. That could also be medication as well. Having no highs and no lows, you don't sort of get that. But yeah, I don't know if I have any real highlights from it. I mean, there's been cool things like seeing so many people come to Scotland, and one of the things that I did really like was the first time we piped somebody in. That was quite cool. I think
you what?
Piped somebody in.
Yeah, explain.
You know, yeah, you still know. So the piper with the bagpipes and
yeah.
So piping
you've got a dirty mind, Thomas.
I don't know. I just had to.
So the bagpipes. So seeing everyone standing up. I mean, one of the things I will remember is the end of the last one that we had in Glasgow of the keynote. That was good. Just everyone kind of saying thank you by waving their hands. That was an awesome thing. But even with that, like keynotes, you literally see me for 5 minutes at the start, and then I spend the next 55 minutes up in the booth, like in the media booth, doing stuff there, making sure the sponsors are ready, getting all that sort of stuff set up. So it's genuinely non-stop. I think I've only ever attended one session at Scottish Summit.
I mean, it must be pretty good though, just going back home afterwards and lying in bed and just going, yes, I've done that.
So you probably you lie down and you're probably asleep for about 20 hours, genuinely. you're asleep for about 20 hours because you've been planning for it. You've like the amount of steps that I do on a Scottish Summit day. We're talking 25,000, 30,000 steps in a day. And the venues aren't even that big. It's literally walking around in circles up and down stairs. So
yeah, but you got short legs. I mean, that's you divide it by 2. That's a normal step, man.
True. But it's still a lot of steps, a lot of moving around. And it's by the time that the worry of, is it anyone going to turn up when you open the doors? Is the food going to come out? Is it going to come out with worms hanging out the side of it? Like what's going to go wrong? What could go wrong? It's like you're always thinking of what's going on. And then it's like, oh, it's over. I can actually sleep. And that's kind of how it goes.
All right. Thomas, sorry. We're talking about the Scottish Summit. We talked a bit about the Scottish Summit past. In True Christmas, we're going now to the current Scottish Summit. How do you see your involvement in the Scottish Summit this year? Are you going to be there? Are you going to be involved in some way?
Yeah, no, so I would love to join. I just have a new kid on the way, so it's going to be hard for me to attend this year if I want to come back to a wife, unless I want to live in a 1-bedroom apartment somewhere alone. But yeah, no, but I actually was able to join the Scottish Summit volunteer program that they have. So even though Mark doesn't do delegation well, he at least has another few people that are good at it also. So you have a good team around you, Mark. So anyways, I've been doing the session reviews. So it's very time consuming because people, there's a big difference there for people like, they write good texts and people that don't write as well. And we have to kind of acknowledge that some people, English is not their first language. So you kind of sometimes have to read between the lines and see like this makes sense as a session. And you vote for it based on, well, at least my preferences. So it's a time-consuming work, and but I mean, it's I still feel that I do get a little bit involved. So it's
it's worth talking about that more because the very first. So I went to D365 Saturday, and then that was my first as an attendee, my first Microsoft event, community event, and then the next Scottish Summit 2020, I was a volunteer. It's worth talking about how rewarding that is, and how because that was my first sort of entry into the community. Now I went on and become an MVP for now. Let's see how that goes.
Crossing fingers.
That was my first sort of step in the journey. Was like because I was a bit shy. I lacked a lot of self-confidence, so I didn't really know I wasn't going to speak. I did a few YouTube videos, did a few blog articles, few comments, but one of the big things for me was to get involved as a volunteer for Scottish Summit. That's a very rewarding first step as well. How would someone get involved as a volunteer at Scottish Summit? Maybe that's a question for Mark.
So I think for a lot of people it's the first step. It's let's attend one, let's get involved the next time. Let's speak, or let's kind of do both. So like my lasting memory of Rex, not that you're going anywhere, Rex, of course, but my lasting memory of Rex and my first impression of Rex, I think I told you this a couple of weeks ago as well, was you in the cupboard at Scottish Summit handing out all the hoodies, literally just that genuinely, like when you ask about when you ask about memories and things about Scottish Summit, that is one of the things I actually remember of Scottish Summit is Rex in the cloakroom handing out the hoodies.
Yeah, it was 2022 in Glasgow in the uni, and for some reasons some things went wrong with the clothing sizes. They were all a bit smaller as expected, so everybody ordered shirts or hoodie or whatever they ordered, and on the spot we have to try to make it work so that everybody got a hoodie or a shirt that fits. And make sure that we separated we had female and male shirts at that time because of I'm not sure, I'm not a fashionist, but it has to do with some kind of how it fits. And it was crazy. And at some point we were just you get a shirt, you get a shirt, you get a shirt. We were like Oprah Winfrey there, and it was awesome. It was funny. But it was really hard work. But yeah, that will always stay with us.
So how do you become a volunteer, I think was the question. So
Yeah,
lots of different ways. Like most events now will have a call for volunteers. So you can either just volunteer. If you know who the organisers are, you can reach out directly to them. If you know somebody who's volunteered before, you can ask them how they've done it. There's lots of different ways, but social media.
Just 2022, there was a call on Twitter for who wants to be a volunteer. So what basically just filling out a form and keeping your fingers crossed. Will I be in there? I think it was about the same for 2023, and also for this year, we just put out a form on the internet. We reached out to some people and shared it all around, so that people could just sign up, and we contacted them, and so we got a couple of volunteers already lined up, and now we're going to look who is going to do what. How many of them are really going to be at Scottish Summit? That's also the question, of course.
Yep.
So hopefully it will all work out, but it always does.
And the thing is as well, we'll never say no to volunteers.
No.
Like if you want to help, even if you're going to be there, brilliant. We've got tasks that you can physically do. But if you're not going to be there, if you're like pretending to have kids and stuff like that, you can fill in like session feedbacks, or you can help with the IT systems, or you can do artwork. There's so many different things and so many different tasks.
Are you going to trust me with artwork?
No.
Not
the slightest. I barely trust you to fill in all these sessions in the next 4 days.
I've done my job so far.
Good.
But that's why we have a larger team of people looking at it, luckily.
Yeah.
Because we had a lot of submissions again for this year, and choices are really hard.
Yeah.
I think that's the message to all listeners as well, that if you want to get involved, and if you don't know where to start the community, that a volunteer is a very good step. It's a very first step, and it can be as big or as small a step as you want. We're all volunteering at this event, of every one of us on this call. If you want to get involved big time, get in touch. If you want to get involved just giving out tickets or giving out name badges at the reception, because I found it quite difficult. I was like, what's going to be expected of me? Am I going to be running about daft all day? I gave out some name badges. You can get every little helps, I think. So if you are out there and you're thinking about getting involved in the community in a way, get involved with Scottish Summit, contact any one of us on this podcast, or go to the Scottish Summit's website and use the contact form, and just get involved. I encourage everybody to do it.
We also got a volunteer form, so the link is in the screen right now. So you can just go to the site, fill in the form.
Yeah, you have to do that.
Should we all do it all together? Sorry for the audio listeners out there. We're all giving the fingers down to the screen.
Arden, Paddy, what are we doing? So the other part, just to kind of follow on a little bit from the volunteers, is when people are looking at ways to get into speaking, volunteering at the event is a good way to get to know the people who are running the event, so that the next year, if you want to submit a session, you already know the committee that are doing it, and you can ask them what they're looking for in their sessions. So it's a good way of kind of slowly easing yourself in while building connections. And it's
also a good way to get in touch with the speakers. If you're as an attendee, sometimes you think, well, they're speakers, they're youths. I don't dare to go to them. But as a volunteer, you're a bit closer, so it also makes it easier to see what they are doing, how they are doing the sessions, how they prepare, and coming in contact with them. It's also easier to ask them offline for help, for tips, for tricks. And I can't speak for everybody in the community, but I think all the people that I know of will for sure help you with it.
The majority, yeah. I mean, that's one of the good things about the community in general is there's like, I've said this plenty of times, but in most work environments, you never have a close bond or share information with people who work for competitors. You don't share, oh, I learned how to do this or I learned how to do that. This is one community where everybody is willing to help you, willing to share information with you, help you win that bit of work. It's very weird. And I think the majority of the people, like I know, Rex, when you said they're like going and approaching somebody who's like a 5-time MVP and has this hat and that hat, I don't think there's anyone in the community who, if you approach them directly, wouldn't just have a normal conversation with you.
That's a good point.
They won't. They will for sure do it. Yes.
So that's definitely a thing, that there's always people available. There's always people willing to speak. So.
Yeah, but I was like, as you say, there's like, I mean, just remember the first time they're marking. It's like I was genuinely, I'm not just saying that because not by you, but by all the other people, just starstruck. You know how clever they were and stuff like that. Not just of you too, of course, but the point is that I remember the first time I was seeing a few of these people that I've been seeing on stage, like for other things. It's like you're terrified to go ask them a question because you kind of, at least me at that point, I was thinking, oh guys, these people probably get crowded. I don't want to bother them, but they don't get crowded. No one really gets crowded. I mean, we're just normal people.
I don't know. There is
most of us don't really get crowded, and it's just nice to have a conversation.
Crowded, but we like the crowd. We like the crowd. We like the conversation.
So sometimes, and this is also a good point though, is these events, like a Scottish Summit has 1,000 people at it, right? It can be overwhelming for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like there's times where sometimes you just need to go for a walk, to get away from people. Like I was at MVP Summit. Genuinely, I mean, Thomas is probably going to laugh at me because he knows where I'm going with this, but I could be having a conversation with somebody here for 2 or 3 minutes and say, right, okay, thanks, bye. Let's turn around to walk away, and there's somebody else standing there waiting to have that exact same conversation with you. And after a good 45 minutes of literally just turning out, you know, with the football where you're just turning around, that's what it was like. And just being able to kind of say, right, okay, I need to just walk away from all of this, because it can get overwhelming at times that people want in those conversations. But
I think it's okay to say no to that as well. I think people, if you say, could you just take their number or connect with the link to it and say, I need to go.
I mean, that's big time, Charlie. Paddy there. Google me, bitch. Paddy's like, I'm not talking to you. Google me.
No, just to make an excuse, like I'm bursting for a pee. Can you come back 5 minutes and then run out the door?
It is, but yeah, there is. As I say, there's a lot of people, and it can be overwhelming for some people. So there will be some people that might not be. They might be very approachable, or they might not seem as approachable, or they might just say, come and find me later on. I've got to do X, Y, and Z. And that's one of the things that's running or being part of running Scottish Summit is good for, because, sorry, I've just got to go and do this now. So I actually quite like Scottish Summit because I don't have those back and forth all the time. I've got to go and do this task, whereas other events that I attend as a person, it's slightly different.
I saw Carl at Cookie at the MVP Summit. He had this little badge thing he was wearing for mental battery, or I think it was something else. Yes. So he was able to display at what level he was at. So yeah, it could be something for a few people that at least aren't necessarily as outgoing. Because some people get energy from a lot of conversations, and other people get drained from them. So it's interesting, because we're all very different personalities when it comes to,
that's for sure,
crowds. Yeah.
So I'm going to bring up another TV show then. What We Do in the Shadows.
Yes.
Anyone seen what we? Right.
Very, very, very good. No.
Okay, so there's a thing called an energy vampire.
Univampires, okay, yeah.
Yes.
And so Paddy knows where I am with that.
We all know them.
Yeah, so those are sort of things where your energy could just be drained by just having lots of different conversations. If you've never seen What We Do in the Shadows, there's a film of it and there's 5 seasons of it. It is absolutely hilarious.
Okay, well,
fantastic. Yeah, the energy vampire. I think we all know an energy vampire as well, or we feel like, even if we don't know one, sometimes we feel like we're being drained
Thomas has just literally texted me 4 different names claiming they're energy vampires.
Right. Enough about energy vampires, right? So the next question we're going to go into is what you're looking forward to most at Scottish Summit. I'm going to start with Thomas, because so you're not going to Scottish Summit, but just because you're not going to an event doesn't mean that you cannot get involved or look forward to it. So what are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to next to Scottish Summit, definitely. And the reason, because I mean, it's just really nice to sort of get, connecting with the people again. Even if it's just not, in the sessions, listening to great things, it would just be meeting people that, that have the same interest. Because one thing is being very nerdy at work. Some people are there just to work from 8 to 4, and other people are there because they genuinely love what they do. And then you can nerd out with them. But when you're at a session like that, you really get into the depths. You get to challenge yourself, you challenge them, and they make you think differently. So it's like the best part of going to those things. It's just really just your mind's going to be so tuned into what you do every day, and that's a lot of fun.
So Thomas, that was the wrong answer. The wrong answer was watching it on the live stream, but okay.
I was aiming for that. I was aiming for watching all the social media posts,
while
images,
the
hashtags.
Fine, that's fine.
But
it gives me more FOMO though, Mark, just to put it that way, because I mean, it's like, I don't get to be there.
Yeah,
you don't block us.
I do that. I genuinely mute certain hashtags just so that I don't have to do that.
Because there will be a lot of social presence at Scottish Summit 24, as there is with every Scottish Summit. So if you listen to the podcast, hashtag Scottish Summit 2024, follow that hashtag on all social media.
But then you also managed to tell me now that we're doing you guys are doing the live stream, which is great. I mean, then you get to sort of follow those things too.
Yes, you do. Yeah.
I wasn't actually aware that you were doing that this year.
So what we are doing is we are live streaming the keynote. We will also be recording 2 rooms at the same time as well. Cool. Whether we live stream those 2 rooms or not is up for debate and up for technical consideration at the moment. But they will be recorded and they will be available after the event. That is for sure.
Yeah, cool.
On to Mark. What are you looking forward to most about? And you're not allowed to say when it's over. you have to give us something. The deadline is the end of the day. What are you looking forward to most about Scottish Summit 2024?
You know him too well, Paddy.
Right, so I've got 3 things that I'm looking forward to. 1, I'm getting fireworks. I am getting fireworks. Right? The keynote, I have got fireworks. FOMO, Thomas, your fault. You're missing out.
I'm missing out on the T-shirt cannon. I never got to try the T-shirt cannon, man. I'm disappointed by that.
I'll bring it to Norway. I'll stand underneath your apartment and just put it on at the top and try
bring it out from Nordic Summit.
I could do. Yeah. I'll just aim it and try and get it into the pool from the ground floor. Right? So
you're looking forward to your wrestling entrance at Scottish Summit with pyro.
Wow.
You're going to come into AFI. It's AFI. You're going to come into AFI. You're going to Mark Christie come to the stage and DDT someone to a load of pyro. That's what you're looking forward to.
I will not be involved in the keynote. So you will not see me at all during the keynote. So there is that one. Second part, my daughter's at university in Aberdeen, and she's going to come along and help and volunteer. So cool. I know that's a weird thing, but having her there doing that for me is quite cool.
Absolutely, yeah. She hasn't been to the other sessions, has she? Seen what you kind of...
No, she's never been to a Scottish Summit. She just thinks it's this stupid thing that she has to cut out badges for and fold T-shirts and do that sort of stuff. So she's never
that'd be fun. Yeah,
been to one yet. So there's that. There's the fireworks, and then there's Sunday when it's finished.
No, I told you you're not allowed to do Sunday. You have to. The cut off is
okay. The drag cabaret. I am so looking forward to, because you know what I'm like with planning and delegating. People have been given this in tasks, and I've been sitting on the calls while these have been happening, and I'm like, We'll do that one. So like we've got stilt walkers, we've got fire breathers, and that's just Malin, the fire breathing dragon. No, we've got lots of different drag queens doing lots of different acts as well, which is going to be really, really interesting. So I'm looking forward to that. Definitely the keynote's going to be interesting as well. It's going to be quite a technical keynote.
About the keynote, by the way, I think most people have read it on Twitter, of course, and on LinkedIn, the socials. But we're going to have Scott Hanselman this year, which is pretty special. And, well, of course, he has a link with Scotland. His family's from there. He's also taking his father. They're going to do a round trip around Scotland just to meet up with family and stuff. So that's also a nice thing this year.
Yeah. No, I definitely think that's one of the cool things. Because when I approached Scott and spoke to him about it, he's like, you know, my dad's from Carnoustie. So Carnoustie's about 15 kilometers from me. So it's like literally his dad stays 15-minute drive from me. So it was quite a cool thing just to be able to chat around that and how he wants to. He's literally flying into Edinburgh, picking his dad up and going up. Yeah, doing what's called the West Highland Way. So basically, it's like 500 miles round the top of
Route
Scotland.
66 kind of thing?
Yeah, kind of, but not in America.
Well, that's kind of thing. That's in the term, kind of thing.
It's like going from Oslo to Trondheim.
That's not very exciting, but okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Neither's this. I mean, Paddy, have you ever done it?
I've never done it. No, I didn't even know it existed until Will Dorrington asked me about it. He says, "Oh, what about the West Highland Way?" I thought I've no idea what that is. I had to Google it, but I know someone who has done it. He hired some fancy supercar thing. He's a big petrol head, and he hired some fancy supercar and just smashed right around it really quickly. And he said it was absolutely phenomenal. It's brilliant because big Highland roads are really long, windy. It's great for.
Yeah, I know a lot of people do it on motorbikes.
Mm-hmm.
So people do the whole thing on motorbikes. But just when you mentioned Will there, so I had a conversation last weekend with Will. So did you know he was actually coming up to Scotland, or did he just totally not tell you anything about it at all?
He asked me about the West Highland Way. This was about a year ago. I don't know.
Yeah. So he done it. Yeah. So I only found out that he spent 2 weeks in Scotland at the weekend there, and he didn't say hello. He literally drove past my house on the way up the A9. So
he was on holiday.
He was on holiday, but Will is not one of my friends right now for that. But
are we keeping this in? So consider he is like my boss.
We are keeping this in. It's fine. We'll
have to make it up to us by coming on the podcast, won't he?
Yes, he will do. We will volunteer him to be on the podcast.
So, Will, if you're listening, that it's your duty to come on the podcast and not as a sponsor.
Yes, you will. No, the good thing, Will, I think, has been to every single Scottish summit. Even one of them, I remember he got a train at like 7 o'clock in the morning and spent 9 hours on a train just to get to Glasgow. Will is awesome, and behind the scenes, he's always supporting Scottish Summit and asking how he can help. He is a good lad, but I just like to wind him up now because he literally drove past my house and didn't even say hello.
Oh no.
Well, we'll drag him on next time, and we can ask him about it.
Yes, that's fine.
So that's about us done now. This has been the very first recording of the Scottish Summit podcast. This will be going out imminently, I think. So just Mark Christie, any last words before we go?
Don't give me a live microphone. Thomas knows what it's like to.
This could end up anywhere. This could really end up anywhere.
Me and Thomas were in a session a few weeks ago, and literally 30 seconds in, they just handed me a microphone in the crowd and said, "Just keep it."
I was looking at the woman giving you. It's like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And he just smiled. He's like, "She gave this to me. It's mine."
So no, giving me an open mic is always an interesting. No, I think just for people who are kind of on the fence, like Scottish Summit, there's so many different chances to learn. There's so many cool things going on. There's workshops, there's cabaret, there's pub quizzes. There's so much going on. There's so much learning. It's free. Everyone's nice, especially that Thomas isn't going. It's going to be even nicer for people.
But so it's a Saturday thing, though. Does it start on Friday with all these activities, or what is it sort of agenda?
So, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say. In fact, I can say whatever I want, really, can't I? So,
the boss.
People need to make travel arrangements. That's what I'm asking. You know, if
So,
you're actually going to Scotland,
we
would
can
it be a time?
at least say the dates are pretty known, so we can say that it starts on the 17th, and that's a Thursday.
17th of what?
however,
October, and it's going on till the 20th, so it's 3 days. 4 days.
maybe 4.
3 days, what is it? 3 days, yeah.
Maybe. You gotta let us know.
So I don't really need to let you know.
No,
But what we're working on at the moment is we're actually working on the Wednesday having local school teachers and students come in.
Okay.
So during the day, using the teachers to show them how we can use Copilot and Microsoft tools to educate and build out sessions in the classroom. And then on the Wednesday evening, having local underprivileged kids come in and do some STEM sessions. So we're still working on that at the moment. There's a lot of hoops to jump through, but it won't be for the main attendees, but it'll be something for the local community that we're able to give back.
Wow, that's impressive. You almost killed the whole vibe there by mentioning Copilot, but fine. But I mean, it sounds really interesting though.
Yes.
But what let's say if I were to travel there, would that be like? Is that just more so? That would be a local thing. It would be nothing to do for me as an attendee there.
No, not as an attendee. I mean, you could, if you're a teacher, you could attend, but
No.
or you could get involved and volunteer and help with the STEM classes.
Yeah, so let's say if you were traveling there and you managed to just, I'm going a day early or something like that, you could be a participant and a volunteer.
Yeah, you could volunteer. Yeah, you could volunteer at it. The cool thing with the venue, and I don't know if people have seen the venue yet, is both hotels. So we've got the Hilton and the Loft Hotel. The venue is actually built into the Hilton Hotel.
Oh.
So you can come out of one of the rooms and genuinely just walk into the hotel into your room. So that's quite a nice feature. So I think if people are going to be there early, there's going to be lots of people around. There's bars. There's about 3 different bars in the location as well.
Fantastic. Thomas, anything to close up?
No, I think you guys have covered a lot of stuff. This is pretty... I'm totally FOMO here. I mean, I'm obviously missing out on the cabaret that I think is something you probably brought from the Color Cloud. Was that a thing that you're... Based on
we've had this planned. We've had this planned for about 8 or 9 months now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You can't just quickly in 2 weeks plan to have 8 drag king and queens and all of that set out. So, have you not looked at the website over the past 6 months where we've had a picture of Lady Rampant, the main performer, on the website?
I have, but I'm pretending that I haven't, so other people's might, go into the website.
Oh, so you're actually
peek around. Have a little peek around.
What is the URL for the website?
Websites for tickets.
www.scottishsummit.com. Will you be performing in the cabaret, Mark?
I will not comment on that.
I will not comment on that one right now.
Will that be the sort of surprise there? I would literally want to just participate just for that, and I'll take the morning flight and I'll take the evening flight back.
Just bring Guri and the kids with you, and I will be.
I'll get a babysitter for one day if I can just get to see you performing at a cabaret, man. That'd be awesome.
Perhaps on the screen is shown now that ScottishSummit.com has tickets where you can get tickets for the cabaret, for the event, for the pub quiz, for the workshops. Perhaps we can get another button in there. Get Mark to do drag and make it some kind of
bit of a charity thing.
Oh.
let's leave on that note. Let's
leave with that one. Yeah.
And on my wrap up, this is the first record of the podcast. If you're listening to this, please get in touch with any of us to sign up to be a guest on the podcast. Very casual, very similar format to what we had today. Contact Paddy Byrne or Rex de Gonning. And also visit ScottishSummit.com. Check that out. Go to the website, get your tickets before it sells out, because it will sell out. Rex, over to you to sign off.
Yeah, I just want to thank Mark and also Thomas, of course, for being here, being our first guests. hopefully you enjoyed it. I know I did, and I hope Patty did also. And hopefully we'll do it again sometime soon with different guests, and perhaps you'll be on again at the end of the stint, just to see how it's going then. And hope to see you soon and talk to you again. Thank you very much.
There's no perhaps in it. We're getting guests on, booking guests in this week, aren't we? So stay tuned. Subscribe. Whatever
like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
And whatever podcast app you're on, follow us.
We don't have a button for that yet, but I'll create one.
We don't. All right, guys. All right. Oh, thank you very much for coming on. Listeners, thanks for listening. Speak to you soon.
The road to Scottish Summit starts here. This is the Power Platform Podcast. Join Rex de Koning, Ana Inés Urrutia de Sousa, and Paddy Byrne as they talk to the Microsoft community about their stories.